At the Windestal Royal Academy, during the mock battle, a student summons a fireball and launches it toward the pig, making the pig cough blood and bump into the tree. This pig is Brat von Pistol. He was Ice Guy into this world. While the others panic and ask for a stretcher, Brat regains consciousness in the world where he came from. He saw his former body and wondered if it was memories. After getting scolded at work, he was ordered to redo his work before the end of the day. He followed the order, and when he was done, he left the office and walked back home. After changing clothes, he went straight to his computer and played the final quest game. This game is his source of happiness, and he wishes to enter this world. After that dreams of memories, he came back to reality and tried to remember what happened in his playthrough. According to his memory in the game, this pig is Brat von Pistol, the first prince of the Pistol Kingdom. He was enthralled by the Demon King and made his appearance as a heinous and treacherous young king who schemed to use the life of the kingdom's citizens as the cornerstone for the Demon King's revival. In the end, the hero and his comrade, who is also Brat's own younger brother, end his life. Realizing he knew the whole story about this game because he played it so many times, the ugly pig frustratingly asks why he became a villainous character. Hearing his shout, the maid in China, rushed towards his room and asked what happened. This girl is Logie, Brat's personal maid. She was about to call a healer, but Brat told her he was okay. She apologized for acting impertinently and told him to punish her. Brat was shocked at her statement, and upon seeing her trembling hands, he thought her action wasn't punishable. After recalling that he was the one who always punished her, he told her there was nothing to apologize about and that she was just worried about his well-being. She was confused and was shocked after hearing his master thanked her. She cried like a baby and apologized. She didn't expect to receive words of gratitude from him since she had always been scolded because she couldn't fulfill his expectations. Brat patted her head and said he was the one who should thank her. Because of his attitude up until now, he has caused her too much unnecessary anxiety. Logie apologized for losing her composure, and as punishment, she was willing to give her life. Brat told her that from now on, he would become a man and a lord they wouldn't be ashamed to be servants of. He asks her to continue serving him. She is shocked and tells him it was given, stating she would humbly serve him wholeheartedly. He pushed her out of his room and lay on his bed. He concluded that he needed to avoid death if this was really the final quest world he knew. According to his knowledge, 4 years from now, Brat will be tempted by one of the 4 demon generals, known as the Heavenly Kings, and will assassinate his own father, the king. From there on, Brat will completely spiral into darkness. As he thinks he needs to be careful to avoid death, he is surprised to see an ugly pig in the mirror, so he decides to change his appearance by dieting and training his body. He punches the air, thinking he could beat the Demon King and the 4 generals after training, but suddenly gets tired after a few seconds. He called Logie and ordered her to get rid of all the sweets, informing her that he would lose some weight. Knowing her household was poor and she had many brothers and sisters, he told her to bring the sweets to them. Logie didn't want to accept it because those were expensive, but Brat told her it was fine and ordered her to distribute the preserved sweets to the people in the slums and orphanages. Logie was teary-eyed after hearing that, and the pig waved goodbye to her. The next day, at the back of the royal palace, the first military training ground, Brat was walking, trying to find someone he knew from the game. He stopped in front of the tree, and upon seeing the guy named Guras Stresemann, he greeted him good morning. Noticing he was being ignored, he used the forbidden technique, saying he had delicious bread, but since Guras was ignoring him, he would return home with the bread. Guras suddenly got up and asked what the first prince was doing there. Brat asks the 7th hero, Guras Stresemann, if he can make him his disciple. Guras declined, saying he would lack sleep if he trained him. He asks the pig about his sudden action because he never came out to visit the military, and seeing how bloated his tummy was, he could guess he never trained. Brat admitted he lacked training but wanted to grow up and correct himself. However, Guras just laughs at him. Brat was determined to be trained to avoid death because, based on the final quest story, one can receive training after visiting the military ground, and the character hiding in the military training ground was this guy, the 7th hero. Guras wondered if he could lower his head to become his disciple, and hearing it made the people around him chuckle, thinking Brat would never do that and would just stay as a pig somewhere. To their surprise, Brat bowed before Guras, begging him to accept him as his disciple. While they wondered if it was a dream, Brat recalled that this was how he acted in his work and knew Brat's pride was shaved off in a different sense. Guras agreed and declared he would test him. Hearing that made Brat remember that in the game when the trainer said those words to a protagonist, he would move or act in a certain way, so the timing was important to this. His assumption was correct. Guras swiftly attacked without prior notice, so he lifted his hand to block it but was still thrown to another universe due to his weak body. While he was scratching his head, the people around him were laughing at him, telling him to know his place. Brat felt hopeless, but Guras approached him and extended his hand, saying he passed. The murmurer was shocked by his declaration. Guras tried to help him get up, and Brat asked if he could ask to be trained by him. Guras agreed, so he thanked him and called him master. The truth is, Guras was surprised when Brat blocked his attack as if he knew where his attack would come from. Because of that, he became excited and had a hunch that things would become interesting from now on. He stared at the pig and wondered if he was a real deal or perhaps a sham. He would make Brat show it to him. Meanwhile, Logie woke up but still felt sleepy. Lena noticed her terrible face, so Logie responded that she just lacked sleep. Lena observed Logi's master recently was motivated and determined for a reason, so she asked if Brat was pushing her too hard. Logi clarified that it wasn't the case and that she had just done her job as a maid. Lena grabbed her face, squeezed it, and noticed she had a dark circle under her eyes. She blames it on Brat and advises her to rest properly while Brat's kindness lasts. Logi became irritated and shouted at her, informing her that Brat was always kind. Lena told her not to get mad and warned her not to force herself so she wouldn't collapse. Speaking of Brat, they saw him training outside, but he was beaten up by Guras. Lena thought he would quit after a day, but it's been a week since he started training. Seeing the pig's ugliness, Lena wondered if Logi could really support someone like him. However, she was shocked upon seeing Logi blushing, thinking Brat was cool. Logi suddenly noticed someone was coming, and it was the second prince, Albert von Pistol. Lena wondered why he came and mumbled that even though Brat and Albert were twins, they were in different leagues. Albert greeted Guras and thanked him for his training effort. Brat wondered why a troublesome guy came. He knew that Albert and him were on bad terms to the point that people around would start gossiping just by meeting him like this. However, he saw this opportunity to turn the tables. If he repairs his sibling relationship now, he might be able to get rid of another situation that triggers the death ending. He cheerfully greeted his brother, but Albert ignored him and asked Guras why he always refused training with him. Yet he was here training with his older brother. Guras goes behind Brat, informing Albert that he refused Brat at first, but upon observing Brat was interesting, he agreed to train him. Albert wondered if he was saying Brat was more interesting than him and said Guras was boring. He laughed and stated he overestimated himself because he thought his swordsmanship was better than his big brother's. He looked at Brat and mockingly said he didn't notice him. Brat almost exploded from anger but still invited his brother for a morning training session. Albert agreed but in the form of a match. While Brat was shocked, Guras was so excited about their duel. Guras made a deal that if Brat won, he would teach him a good skill. Brat was so excited after hearing that, but knowing the match would be hard, he thought twice. However, realizing he desired to learn new skills, he agreed. Guras was so happy to hear he agreed and stated that the battle would end when the morning duty's bell rang. Albert was confident he could end the battle in an instant, so Guras warned him not to go with the killing intent. After Logi cheered his master, Guras announced the start of the battle. Brat was the first to attack with all his might, but the time he slashed his sword, Albert vanished from his position to dodge and retaliate with a swing of his sword. Brat barely blocked it and observed that his brother was close at level 30. He huffs for air and thinks his brother is really a genius. Albert noticed Brat was only blocking, so he teased him to also attack. However, Brat was already doing his best by blocking. Lena was amazed at how good Albert was and concluded that it was an obvious victory for Albert. Logi told her it wasn't true because the real fight was just starting. Guras agreed with her and remarked that even though the difference between the two was clear, he was wondering why the fight wasn't yet over, knowing that Albert could end it instantly. Meanwhile, Albert gritted his teeth in frustration. He was going all out properly, but his attack did nothing against this pig. Unbeknownst to him, Brat already knew his attack pattern due to the countless weeks of gameplay. Albert swung his sword, but Brat blocked it because he knew every attack pattern and his next move. After the downward swing, Brat wanted to take this opportunity to attack, so he launched forward, but due to the stats difference between their agility, Albert was able to counterattack and wanted to end the battle. Nevertheless, Guras came between them and announced the end of the battle. While Brat felt relief that he was saved, Albert asked about the result of the battle. Because the bell already rang, Guras responded that it was a draw. Albert couldn't accept the result, saying he would win if his last attack reached Brat. Guras responded that he didn't make it in time, making Albert irritably walk out. Brat called his younger brother. Albert turned and irritably admitted he was caught off guard by his cunning trick but didn't accept it was a loss. Brat didn't want to tease him but just wanted to say how amazing he was despite being younger than him. He suggested being his training partner on another occasion, but Albert got angrier and walked out with the maids made in China. Guras came near Brat and was amazed at how he aimed for a draw, assuming that he knew from the start the difference between him and his brother. While Brat thinks his master misunderstood him, Guras tells him he will teach him the skills he obviously wanted. Brat was very glad to hear that and thanked his master. Logi voiced out how cool Brat was, but Lena wondered if she was sick. It's been 2 weeks since the duel, and Lena still couldn't believe Brat managed to force a draw with his little brother. Her attention was turned when she heard the other maids' voices shouting like an itchy girl after seeing Brat. After 2 weeks of training, this is now the pig's appearance. After Brat told them he would go up the mountain for a while, Lena was still surprised at Brat's transformation. She notices that other people have also changed and thinks Logi's rivals will increase. As she thinks it will be difficult for Logi, she sees Logi running for her master. Brat went to the dragon's house and greeted his dragon. He hugged it and was glad the dragon could still remember him even though his appearance had already changed. He told the dragon that there was a place he wanted to visit but was interrupted when Logi came in, asking her master to wait. Brat gives her a farewell letter, but he will suddenly go to a secluded mountain, so she wants him to at least discuss it with her. She was relieved he was motivated to do so much now, but she wished he could rely on her more. Brat patted her head, and when she asked why he was patting her, he responded that she looked cute. Logi was shocked and blushed after hearing his praises. Brat waved her goodbye, but Logi told him he couldn't go right now, reminding him that Marie would visit today. Suddenly, Marie Elforktas, daughter of the Duke, Brat's fiancé arrived. She just came here after learning he will be temporarily absent from school. She was disappointed because Brat had forgotten about his appointment with her. While Logie was shocked at her early arrival, Brat paused momentarily before throwing a smile. Marie turned around and suggested they talk inside. Inside, Brat was shocked upon hearing she wanted to break off the engagement, so he asked why she was suddenly bringing this up. Marie ordered him to search from his memories so he could know the reason. He was blown out upon recalling how pig he acted in the past. Marie informs him she has already conveyed this matter to his father, the king, and he agrees to her decision. She just came here to hear from him that he acknowledged her decision. Brat thought it was a rushed decision, but Marie didn't expect him to stop her because she thought he despised her. She reminded him of how he had forgotten his appointment with her. Brat apologized about it and told her he was trying to change. Marie knew how his appearance had changed compared to before, but since he had always disappointed her in the past, it wasn't easy for her to have faith in him again. She added that the people of their kingdom also felt the same way as her. She made the nearing sword dance festival as an example, saying that people might accept or recognize him if he became a champion in that festival. The sword dance festival is the battle tournament that takes place each year in the Academy of Magic in order to decide the Academy's strongest. Even though it was tough to become a champion, he still asked her if she would reconsider the annulment when he became champion. Marie knew it was impossible for him, but Brat swore he would achieve it and told her to set aside the idea of breaking the engagement for a while. He stood up and told her he needed to go to become stronger. The butler asks if it's okay not to tell Brat the real reason why she wants to break off the engagement. She responds that there are things in this world that are better off not knowing. Riding a dragon, Brat was amazed at the view. After a while, he arrived at the mountain range of the heavens, Sky Mountain. He praised Gilgard, the dragon, and told him to land. After landing, he thanked the dragon and told him to wait. He was so excited, and upon seeing the entrance on the first floor, he walked toward it and commented that there was still a month before the sword dance festival. Right now, he was at level 20 and was eager to become stronger. The roar of these cute lizards greeted him, but he told them they weren't his opponent. Knowing he could get nothing from them, he passed them by and went where he could get efficient leveling. He stops in front of the rare monster, a level 25 orichalcum snake. This snake would be easily frightened and would run away. When it tried to flee away, he swiftly chased it and slashed it using the penetration slash. The snake was cut in half and left a drop of items. He was amazed by the skill Gures taught him and was glad he leveled up by just killing this monster. He picked up the loot and was so excited to level up more. As he walked, he noticed Mina Libert and unintentionally muttered her name. Mina is one of the 7 heroes in the final quest. Mina was shocked and asked why he knew her name. Brat scratched his head and couldn't answer. Mina observed he looked like a noble and inquired if he was a rich young master from somewhere. He told her his name, apologized for startling her, and elaborated that he once accompanied his dad to visit Kate Sith's settlement. He saw her there and thought she was cute. That is why he remembered her name. Mina turns into a cute, blushing kitty after hearing his praise and turns around, mumbling that he weirdly recalled her name. Thinking he deceived her and knowing it was unusual for a Kate Sith to roam around in a labyrinth, he asked why she was there. Mina just came here to carry out a preliminary investigation because, in a month, they will form a large-scale subjugation party to conquer this dungeon. They were planning the Cyclops subjugation. Knowing that the Sith village was under the Cyclops' command, Brat mumbled that the Cyclop was doing as he pleased again, sacrificing others. Mina was confused because he knew a lot about them, so he explained that he just thought about it when he visited their place. He told them that the Cyclops was a mighty foe, and even if they challenged them in large numbers, they would lose in the end. Mina gets furious, telling him that if they leave the Cyclops as is, their comrades will become his sacrifices again. It is something that was already decided back in their settlement. Before leaving, she advised him to be careful and avoid the Cyclops as much as possible. Brat scratched the back of his head, waved them goodbye, and recalled that in the final quest game, Cyclops was defeated by a hero party, which included Albert and Mina. However, that was 4 years from now. While the current Cyclops level was 25, Mina's was around 20. Even though he was worried for them, he knew that the Cyclops subjugation would only happen in the future, so he didn't want to mess much with the story. Just like that, the two of them went their own separate ways. A chaotic scene can be seen at the Kate Sith village a little while ago. The reason behind this was this ugly Cyclops, the self-proclaimed member of the Demon King Army's 4 demon generals. He declared he was now their king, informing them that he would stop attacking if they presented some sacrifice. The elder muttered that the Demon King was supposed to be sealed many years ago by Gures and the rest of the 7 heroes, so he wondered what the Cyclops wanted to accomplish. While Mina told her mother to step back, Cyclops responded to the elder that they were putting an end to the Demon King's present slumber. To accomplish that, many sacrifices are needed. He called them weak because they became complacent after years of peace had been made. The village chief, Mina's father, stepped in, asking who he called weak. His wife and the villager tried to warn him that he couldn't defeat the Cyclops. The Cyclops laughed at the sight, mumbling how brave the sacrifice is to present himself. The village chief quickly dashed forward and stated that whether he fought or not, the result was still their end. He was blocked by flying one eye and was shocked when he noticed the Cyclops had vanished. The Cyclops appeared behind him and asked the village chief if he thought he was slow because he had a huge body. He then punches the village chief, which makes him groan in pain. Worried, Mina's mom quickly approached her husband, but the Cyclops was readying another attack. Mina saw it and tried to shout at her mom, but the Cyclops already landed a solid hit. The Cyclops continued attacking Mina's parents, leaving her in a state of shock as she tearfully watched the scene. The monster declares that the Kate Siths will continue providing him with the sacrifices he needs. Back to the present, it's been a few months after that incident, and Mina told herself that she couldn't lose. Sigurd, Mina's cousin, tapped her shoulder and told her to relax. Otherwise, she won't be able to win against monsters. Since they had already discussed and carefully prepared for this subjugation, he was certain they would be victorious if they worked together. Mina recalled their preliminary investigation a month ago and thinks that it would be fine. She slapped her face and told everyone that this was the Cyclops' stronghold, asking them if they were ready. She opened the Cyclops' hideout and was surprised to see a lot of monsters because, based on their preliminary investigation, lesser monsters were supposed to appear today. One of her companions almost melted in her position while wondering if they were being set up. The Cyclops laughed devilishly while telling them he was already tired of waiting for them. Mina inquired if Cyclops knew they were coming, so the Cyclops called them morons, revealing he could see through all their miserable thoughts. Mina attacked one of the flying eyes and told everyone not to engage with the small fries and just aim for the Cyclops. Cyclops chuckled, wondering how many of these morons will survive. Meanwhile, somewhere, members of the heroes are gathering at a certain table where Guras is included. Merlin, the great sage, told Guras that she was just displaying the scene because he told her to show the deepest section of the Sky Mountain and wondered what his true intention was. Guras just stared at the crystal ball and didn't answer, which made Merlin angry, asking why he was ignoring her. Selai, the Virgin of Salvation, tried to calm Merlin down and remind her that Guras had always been like that since the old days. Merlin touched her forehead and agreed with her, adding that she was 100 years older than Guras, and told Selai that her name was Merlin, not Marlin. Selai called her Marlin again, telling her that she was small and some aspects about her didn't stand out. She advised her to act confident, but Merlin exploded, reminding her that her name was Merlin, not Marlin, adding that she didn't wish to be small. Seeing Merlin's reaction made Selai happy, thinking Merlin was so cute. When Guras told them they were so loud, Selai wondered why Guras wanted to show this scene to them because this kind of fight happened everywhere. Showing this scene to them during a round table meeting made her inquire if this fight was relevant in any way. Guras clarified he didn't want to show it to them in particular because he just wanted to see it himself. They became ugly freezing morons after hearing his answer, and Merlin suggested stopping the transmission because their time was limited. Guras told her to wait, reminding her she wouldn't suffer any losses by just watching it. Knowing the future outcome of the battle, Merlin told him she didn't enjoy something like watching Kate Siths nearing death. Guras doesn't have those sorts of tastes either, but since Brat will also go there, he wants to witness the fight. Back to the Cyclops hideout, Mina commanded her comrade to fire, and when they did so, Cyclops just stared at the approaching arrow. While Mina was looking at the arrow, he wished it would reach the Cyclops' eye because she knew it was his weakness, and aside from that, they were almost out of arrows. The arrows successfully hit the Cyclops' eye, and it groans in pain, cursing the Kate Siths villager for hurting him. Thinking the attack worked, Mina took this opportunity to rush forward and told the vanguard to attack. When they got near, she looked at her cousin with a signal. They slash both of the Cyclops' feet, and it groans in pain. Seeing its reaction made Mina think their plan was going better, and she mumbled to herself that the Cyclops would regret underestimating them. She jumps up high, and before unleashing the final strike, she states in her mind that this was for her mom, dad, and all the villagers' bitterness. She shouted that she would take him down but was shocked when the Cyclops turned around, saying he was just kidding. He lifted his weapon and swung it towards them. They crashed into the wall, and upon getting herself together, Mina asked her comrades if they were all right. She looked at the Cyclops and asked why his eyes were fine. The Cyclops teased her, telling her to use her brain at least once. She wondered if a magic barrier was being generated by another monster, and thinking she could still go on, she rushed forward but was easily caught. Cyclops told her it was already over, and noticing she was the villager's chief daughter, he told her she only learned foolish acts from her father. He was about to end her life, but his left arm was suddenly cut, making him scream in pain. Mina observes a familiar person apologizing for being late. She asks why he is there, but Brad inquires if he shouldn't rush to someone as cute as her in this kind of situation. Mina blushed upon hearing what he said and told him it wasn't the time for jokes. Brat told her he wasn't joking and introduced himself as Brat von Pishtel, the first prince of the Pishtel kingdom. He discovered that the Kate Siths, their kingdom's sworn friend, were in trouble. That's why he came to assist them. Brat was late because he was preparing for this day by killing the Orichalcum snake to level up quickly. Mina wants him to clarify if she heard it right that he is the first prince of the Pishtel kingdom. Brat apologized for lying and said he had his reason for not revealing his real identity. But this time, there was no need for him to hide it. Mina couldn't believe he was the first prince because, based on the rumor she had heard, the first prince was an ugly, evil, incompetent pig. Brat confirms that he is the ugly evil pig and informs her that he recently changed and corrected himself. The Cyclops doesn't buy his mumbling because he believes no prince would go in a place like this and calls Brat a fool among fools. While Brat responded that he was indeed a fool prince, Mina thought the prince was a completely different person and was cool. She blushed upon recalling Brat casually calling her cute. Brat ordered her to bring all her companions with her and get out of the place. She asked about his plan, and upon seeing the Cyclops' hand regenerating, she recalled that the Cyclops' healing capacities were insane because of the limitless spawn of his minions. Brat steps forward forward, informing her he will get rid of the Cyclops. Mina shouted at him, reminding him that he was the one who told her that it was impossible to defeat that monster. Brat responds that he will fight this monster out of his own free will. The Cyclops laugh at him, wondering if he is dumb to dream of defeating him. He asks the kid if he thinks he is stronger than him just because of a surprise attack. Brat responded that he would never be proud due to a simple cutting off the arm of a good-for-nothing head like him. The Cyclops becomes furious at his statement and declares he will slaughter them all. He swiftly raises his weapon to attack the prince, making Mina shout for him to watch out and close her eyes. However, upon opening her eyes, she was surprised to see what happened. The idiot Cyclops wondered what was happening because his weapon wasn't moving. Brat told him his attack was so light and asked if he didn't even put some force into it. The Cyclops was shocked and couldn't accept that this puny human was stronger than him. He assumed that the prince used strengthening magic. Still, Brat clarified that it wasn't, asking if he was dumb not to notice the fluctuations of the magic power he used. The Cyclops gets angry and asks who he calls dumb. Brat corrected himself, saying he wasn't dumb but a good-for-nothing blockhead. Cyclops swung his weapon, but Brat easily blocked it. Cyclops thinks Brat is using some trick, so he plans to continue attacking him until his trick runs out. Brat told him his attack was useless, so Cyclops showered him with multiple attacks. However, all his attacks only hit the floor. Brat told him that a muscle brain like him could only notice he didn't use a trick at the end. Cyclops gets more furious, so he commands his minions to attack. While the minions surrounded Brat, Brat told the Cyclops he was cruel to set these numbers of minions after him. He flicked his finger to create a fire magic resistant shield toward Mina, and said he needed to clean up a bit. He summons a fire in his hand and mumbles the fire wave. Cyclops thinks it isn't gonna work but is shocked when his minions turn into ashes in an instant. This was Brat's first time using that spell, and he was glad it worked. While Cave Sith's people couldn't believe what they witnessed, the Cyclops wondered if he was dreaming because Brat only used low magic, yet all his subordinates were annihilated. He changed his form, so Brat wondered if it was his real form and asked if he could show him something with that form. Sweats of bullets ran down his face when the prince told him that they should finish the fight now, so he told the prince to wait, revealing that if he did something to him, all of his minions that were left in the Cate Siths will attack all the villager. Nina shouted he was a coward, but Brat butted in, saying to do as he wished. The two are shocked upon hearing that, and Cyclops asks if he doesn't have any compassion. Brat has and informs him that he already took down his minions at the Sith's village before going here. Cyclops ordered one of his minions to show him the vision of the village. After seeing how the villager celebrates while holding a thank cake for Brat, he wonders if it is some kind of mistake because he is an elite monster. He asks if Brat means that there's a human that is not only stronger than him but also can outplay him. He has an overwhelming talent and made the enemy his allies. He rushes forward and tells the prince to die, but Brat easily dodges his attack. In a swift movement, Brat cut Cyclops' body in half. Mina couldn't believe he did it with just one sword strike. Cyclops laughed, stating that lowering his guard against a human like him was a big mistake. Knowing Brat will be a threat to his majesty, he must do something about him right now. Hearing this made Brat worried for the others' safety, so he ordered Mina to get out of the place with her comrades. Mina was worried about him, but Brat shouted at her not to worry about him and just to leave the place. Mina and his companion follow his orders, and when they leave, Brat puts a barrier on the door to protect them. After a few seconds, Cyclops exploded, and even though the door was sealed, it still opened a little bit due to the impact. Mina tried to call for Brat, but when he didn't answer, they went inside and saw no one. She realized Brat protected them by casting a barrier on the door. She commanded all the healers to attend to the injured, and the rest would come with her to look for Brat. She tried to look for Brat in every corner, and as she thought she hadn't thanked him yet, she suddenly heard someone coughing. Brat asks for help, so Mina's comrades come to him and gladly help him. He was surprised when Mina hugged her, saying she was glad he was okay. The Cate Sith's people cheered him and were amazed at how he survived the explosion. Brat patted Mina's head and apologized for making her worried. They then go to the Cate Sith's village and celebrate there. The villagers couldn't imagine that Brat was the first prince of the Pishtal kingdom. The elder was very thankful to him and remarked that they would remember him as the giant killer hero. He asked how they could thank him, but Brat just chuckled, thinking they were exaggerating things. Mina was already drunk and stated how truly amazing Brat was. She pointed her finger at him, addressed him as the village hero, and asked him to get engaged with her. One of the villagers was surprised at her action and asked who let the young chief drink like this. The room becomes loud, and Brat recalls that this scene reminds him of the time after some drinking party after work with his harassing boss. He went outside to finish something he needed to do. He saw these monsters outside, and one of the flying eyes expressed how thankful they were for Brat because they had been freed from the yoke of the Cyclops. He promised to repay him one day. Brat told him he didn't need to repay the favor, but he wanted him to keep his promise earlier. The flying eye bowed his eye. He closed his eyes and told Brat to leave it to them. They wouldn't hurt anyone but would do their best to protect the people. With that, they made a contract, and he tamed the monster. Tame is a mechanic with a certain probability of allowing one to befriend monsters after the battle. It can only be used in conjunction with the Monster Tamer ring item. He gave the monster a name, which is Laud, and said he was counting on him. Laud looked at him with a teary eye, grateful that the prince gave him a name. Meanwhile, Selai was amazed that Brat really defeated the Cyclops. On the other hand, Merlin couldn't believe it and observed that Brat was entirely different compared to when he fought his brother. She wondered how he could become this strong in just a month. Gures proudly reminds them that he had already told them Brat was a monster. He had so much fun watching the battle, and since he had some important matter to attend, he stood up and said he would leave now. Merlin inquired what could be more important than this meeting, so Gures casually responded that Brat's participation at the festival would be coming soon, and he didn't want to miss it. Selai thinks Gures is unfair and tells him she wants to come too, but Merlin reminds her they are still in the middle of a meeting. Selai also became a fan of Brat, so she asked Merlin to come too. Nevertheless, Merlin didn't want to and told her to just go with Gures. However, when she makes this poopy face, Merlin gives up and agrees to come. Selai was happy she would accompany them. After all, Merlin was the only one who could take them there using her magic. Merlin didn't want them to get the wrong idea, clarifying that she would evaluate Brat's ability sooner or later. Since she can take them instantly, they can extend their meeting for as long as they want. She looks in Gures' direction with closed eyes while saying there are a lot of things to discuss, but is shocked upon seeing he isn't there. Between the human realm and the demon realm, the dream realm, the dream castle, the base of the demon king's army, aims to awaken the demon king. An orc messenger was thrown to the floor by the gluttonous devourer, Beelzebub. Beelzebub felt intimidated by the news and asked whose throat said a human could reach them just because of defeating a Cyclops. The messenger apologizes and begs him to have mercy. Beelzebub stood up and said he wasn't a monster but still cut off the messenger's head. Still, he doesn't dismiss the idea that Brat is a potential danger to them sooner or later, so he plans on getting rid of him. He is certain Brat didn't possess an obstacle for them right now, but it would be problematic if grown stronger and could rival the 7 heroes. He didn't want to end up like Cyclops for underestimating Brat, and most of all, he didn't want anyone to interfere with their carefully designed plans. He ordered the skeleton to get rid of the messenger's corpse, but the skeleton excused himself, reminding Beelzebub that Gures was in the Pishtal Kingdom. Beelzebub knew Gures, the demon slayer, was quite difficult to deal with, so he planned on ordering someone who could quietly kill Brat without the demon slayer noticing. The wolf told him to leave it to them, and he smirked upon seeing that it was the Garlov brothers. The black-hair wolf believes that as a master of transformation, they can carry out the task of getting rid of the first prince. Beelzebub gladly accepted their offer and commanded them to go forth toward the Pishtal Kingdom. In an instant, the Garlov brothers vanished after answering yes. While wondering if it was okay to leave this task to the Garlov brothers, he suddenly noticed someone. It was Rionetta, a doll master, saying she didn't mind going herself. Beelzebub had no reason to refuse her and asked if she had something specific in mind. Rionetta stated that erasing a human being's existence is a trivial matter. However, it would be dull to straightforwardly do something akin to taking candy from a baby, so she is planning on putting on a grand show. Besides, this is bound to become a big step forward in accomplishing their goal. They have come across a nice puppet they could use as a pawn in Pishtal that will prove to be very entertaining. She asked Arietta if she was right, but Arietta just blankly stared at her. Beelzebub was interested and told her to do as she pleased, but Rionetta would still do it even if he didn't tell her. Meanwhile, Brat was caressing Gilgard while Mina asked if he was already leaving. Brat answered yes and said he had already stayed long because he was originally planning to leave last night. Mina understood him but still felt sad. He was about to leave, but Mina shouted his name, and she couldn't utter a word due to embarrassment. She walks closer to him and grabs him. She pulls him closer and then kisses him, saying she likes him. She pushed him away and told him to go. Blushing, she told him they should see each other again. Brat agrees, and with that, the pig prince returns to his home to face the sword festival without knowing the hell that is about to break loose. Let's go back to when Brat was 12 years old. He kept munching on the food while enjoying reading when a maid opened the door, informing her master that Marie had arrived. He couldn't believe Marie came again and irritably said she was so persistent. He told Marie that he wouldn't go out no matter what anyone said. Marie mumbled how stubborn he was and asked if he didn't get bored staying in his room for long. She added that going for a long ride on horseback would be more fun, but Brat was firm in his decision not to go out. He asked why she was so concerned with what he did. She reminded him she was his fiancée, and her mother told her that soon-to-be married couples are meant to stay by each other's sides and offer their gentle support when times get tough. Brat frustratingly told her he didn't care and told her to get out and not to come back anymore. In that case, Marie stated that she wouldn't come back here anymore. Brat suddenly woke up and told Marie to wait, making Gilgard look at him confusedly. He was relieved upon realizing it was just a dream. Gilgard makes a sound, informing him that they already arrived at the Pishtal royal capital, Foflat. He looked below and felt that the sword festival had already come, and its preparation was ongoing. This magic ball is part of this world's basic infrastructure for daily life, powered by magic technology. Brat recalled that Marie always supported him before he decided to change himself. He was determined to get the championship at the sword festival, receive due recognition, and make Marie happy after that. He ordered Gilgard to prepare to enter the castle and was excited to train with Gures when he suddenly heard some commotion. A werewolf lord was attacking the city, and the soldiers told the others to call for reinforcement. Seeing that it was the werewolf lord with the class of Cyclops, Brat wondered what it was doing in their place. Logie suddenly went in front of the monster to stop it, begging it not to step in this direction or else she wouldn't forgive him. She then told Lena to run away. Brat shouted at Logie to run, and upon noticing Logie was trying to protect her friends, he made a decision to butt in even though he didn't want to stand out. As he jumped, the werewolf told Logie she was in his way, and stated that it wasn't the time or the place to be lying idly. The monster was about to attack Logie, but Brat slashed his back. Upon landing, Brat asked Logie if she was okay. Instead of answering, Logie blushed as she muttered Brat's name. Lena couldn't believe the first prince had defeated a formidable monster with just one attack. The soldiers also felt the same way and stated that they couldn't even scratch the monster. One of them wondered who that guy was, but his comrade shouted at him, asking if he was a fool to forget his highness's face. The soldier heard that the prince had changed but didn't expect this huge change. His comrade scolded him again, calling him an idiot because the prince could hear him. Brat approached Logie and told her he did a great job. Logie cried like a baby and said that she was afraid. Lena and the butler thanked Brat for saving them, and he asked what happened. Logie and Lena went out shopping, but when they were crossing the public square, the werewolf suddenly appeared. Albert, the second prince, and some knights rushed to help, but they couldn't put a dent in the monster. Albert ended up being defeated before Brat came, and he is undergoing medical attention right now. Brat understood the situation and was glad nothing serious happened. He recalled that an event like this happened in the final quest, and he knew that it was easy for werewolves to infiltrate because they could change into human form. However, he felt strange and wondered why an intelligent kind like them behaved violently in such a flashy manner. He pondered the possibility that there was some other purpose behind this. Logie welcomed his coming back and demonstrated how he had become stronger in just a month. As his maid, she was really proud of him. While she said she was certain Brat would be victorious at the sword festival, a hooded person was secretly observing them. After a while, Brat and Logie ride a carriage, and upon arriving at the Windestal Royal Academy of Magic, he recalled that Logie was forcing him to attend school because he just wanted to train. He didn't want to go, so Logie scolded him, saying there was still some time before the sword festival began and he could consider attending school as a rest. She was sure they would be shocked about how he had become strong enough to defeat the werewolf with a single strike. As he walked, he could feel the gaze towards him, and he felt awkward. He used to be bullied all the time due to a certain thing that happened in the past, so he wondered what everyone would think of him if they saw him now. The girl wondered who he was because aside from Albert, there was no one as hot as him. Hearing this made him realize he had changed so much that they couldn't even recognize him. Suddenly, one of the students wondered out loud if he wasn't the Black Pig because there was a rumor about him that he became Gura's disciple and trained a lot until he became a completely different person. There is also a rumor about him defeating the terrifying monster that appeared in the city the other day. Some of them think that he also changed on the inside to serve his people. However, Brat's classmate, Dino Schwarzer, didn't trust those baseless rumors because he believed Brat had locked himself indoors because he was afraid of him. No matter how he looks at it, he can't believe that stupid and hopelessly ugly Black Pig is the very same person people are talking about. Logie couldn't take it anymore and shouted how rude he was to Brat, revealing that this guy was none other than the real Pishtal Kingdom's first prince, Brat von Pishtal. She was about to warn them to know their place when Brat covered her mouth. He apologized to Dino for his maid's rudeness and told him it had been a while since they saw each other after the mock battle. Well, if you can remember, it was the scene from the beginning of this story. Anyway, Dino could remember that this maid was the Black Pig's personal maid and clarified that the first prince had changed a lot. That's why he didn't recognize him. Brat was about to go, but Dino blabbered that he could see that the apple didn't fall from the tree when talking about Master and his maid either. He shouted that Logie tried to grab him and stated that a good-for-nothing master had a maid befitting him under his service. He observed Brat looking at him, so he told him he was just telling the truth. Brat doesn't particularly care if Dino insults him, but he won't tolerate any abusive language towards Logie. He clarified that Logie didn't try to lay even a single finger on him, and he wanted him to stop degrading his maid. Still, Dino was so arrogant, so he lifted his hand while smirking and asked what if he didn't want to. Brat blocked his hand and stated he wouldn't let him refuse. Dino dropped his ass to the ground, wondering if Brat releasing a magic power, and noticed that it was too strong. While other students mumble that Dino is in trouble, the girl expresses how handsome Brat is. Dino frustratedly shouted not to underestimate him and challenged Brat to a duel. However, Albert told him to cut it out, asking what's the matter with him. Dino is stubborn and tries to insist on dueling Brat, but Albert reminds him that the shame of one of his close aides is also his shame, so he asks Dino not to embarrass him. He mentioned to his brother that one of his associates was causing him trouble, but Brat told him not to mind it because his maid was also rude. Brat was glad he was okay because he heard he was hurt at the public square yesterday. Albert wondered if it was a reference to how he was defeated by the same monster Brat managed to kill. Brat denied it and clarified that he was just simply worried. He came closer to see if he was really unharmed, but Albert shooed him and asked what was wrong with him because, in the past, Brat always ignored him. He concluded Brat was doing this to catch him off guard and assassinate him one day. He won't fall for his tricks and will never let his guard down. He declared he would beat him at the sword festival. Assuming that Brat was aiming for the throne, he told him he didn't intend to give him any ground or hand it over to him. Brat was confused about the throne, so when Albert called Dino to leave, Brat thought he was being misunderstood again. The students became loud and excited about a fight between two brothers about who would succeed on the throne. Brat thinks it is fine for now, at least he successfully avoided the death flag. After Logie told him to look at the time, Brat saw that he was late, so he said goodbye and went to his classroom. Unbeknownst to him, a mysterious person was observing him. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy this manga. Have a good day.